What I'm trying to get you to do is to think through and articulate in detail your lesson. I'm trying to get you to think it through very, very carefully and articulate it in great detail. I'm trying to get you to describe the lesson in clear stages. I'm trying to get you to go through the planning process four times. From four different perspectives. Those perspectives being specifically objectives. Okay? Teacher does. Students do. Timing and problems. You got it. Questions? Is that understandable? This is a training process, ladies and gentlemen. This is not something for you to do in real time. Doing it in this way at least gives some possibility that when you are out there teaching, that you will, in effect, unconsciously do this. How long do you normally have to plan a lesson in real-time teaching? Give it a shot, Rick. We'll give the people who've been out there, at least I know have been out there. Rick, how long do you have to plan a lesson?
Normally for me 30 minutes to an hour.
30 minutes to an hour per lesson? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. If you have that amount of time, then you are truly somewhat blessed to have a job that will allow you that much time. How much time do you have? What's the matter? My head was in a way that's not transparent? God, I can understand that.
I saw you have all night.
Let's. Sorry?
You have all night before to do lesson plan. As much time as you need.
What do you say, Tanya? Do you spend all night before doing your lesson plans?
Oh, yeah.
How much time do you spend preparing for one class?
Now?
Come on, be honest. It's okay.
About 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes? Anybody else want to give it a shot here?
Same. I mean, at first it was quite a bit.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
days it's
exactly.
10 minutes? 10 to 15 minutes? Yeah.
First it wasn't bad.
Okay. You know, time will be upon you here, where you either don't have the time or you probably won't take the time. But again, that's what you're paying for us to help you think through this process more carefully, with the idea that it will become more unconscious to you. Now let me put it this way, except for nagging Dave, that's me by the way, nagging Dave, you know, you probably can get through this thing by basically writing a similar lesson plan every time. Kind of, I see people with, they got lesson plan from yesterday here, lesson plan from here today, just kind of going, sure, go ahead, do it. It's all right, you're wasting your time and your money, not mine. So there's nothing between you and doing that except nagging Dave. And again, this is one of the things you're paying me to do, If you were doing this on your own, well, maybe you wouldn't go to this much trouble. I promise you it will, how do I say, reap benefits for you. There's no question in my mind that when I see good lessons, they are preceded by good lesson plans. It's almost every time, almost invariable, that if I get a lesson plan that has everything carefully detailed on it, that's about 5 pages in length, it will be a very good lesson. Very, very seldom do people write, and almost never do they write a very good lesson plan and teach a lousy lesson. Once in a while somebody will write a really very, very good lesson plan, and the lesson may have a couple of things that they were in error. Most of the time, crummy lessons are preceded by crummy, short, incomplete, undetailed lesson plans. Okay? Yes, sir. Oh, let's raise your hand up. Just scratching your ear. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
When we're working our way through the lesson, like I found even on the one-on-one, I spend a lot of time reading my lesson. Is that okay?
A lot of time
Actually reading the lesson plan as I was working the way through.
as you were teaching?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to as you're teaching.
Okay.
The idea here is that I'm trying to get you to actually go through the planning process 4 times. So, and we're going to walk through it here, is you'll go through it one time thinking about objectives. Now you should have objectives for each stage of the lesson. What kind of objectives should you have for each stage of the lesson? Terminal or enabling? Enabling, okay? Your terminal objective is your overall biggie that comes at the end, right? Okay? But for each stage in the lesson, you have to walk through each stage, think about it, and think about what objectives would meet, the student will be able to do. Then you've got to go through the lesson piece by piece, stage by stage. What is the teacher going to do? What are the students going to do? What is the teacher going to do? What are the students going to do? Of course, that's the thing that most of you are thinking about. But what the teacher is going to do, I'm going to tell you right now what you're going to do. I'm not asking you. I'm going to tell you. You don't have to think, agonize, or worry about this all night. You're going to get it from me. Okay? What the students do is extremely important. This has to do not with your performance. This has to do with what the students perform and do. Now, hopefully, your performance will result in something useful that the students are doing.
What did you say about enabling versus terminal objectives and why order?
I'm going to go back over that again. Okay? One thing at a time. Okay? Timing. Once you've got this written out, then I would hope you would go back through and say, how long is each stage going to take? Think about the stage. The idea here is for you to fast forward your mind like a camera and try to imagine what's going to happen. How long is it going to take you? Surely a skill that very good teachers have is that when they walk into a classroom, they're quite sure of what's going to happen at each stage in the lesson. They already know pretty much what's going to go on and how they're going to deal with it. Yeah, Kelly?
Well, the question I have about that, kind of concerns that as far as those of us in the class who haven't taught before, that wouldn't that come more so with experience? Because I found when I did timing on my 3rd lesson, was the first time I actually filled in the actual times, and I was way off.
Mm-hmm. You're going to be a lot closer on this time because I'm going to suggest to you what those times will be, for one thing.
But I'm just saying, wouldn't that come
Right.
more with
Yes, you will get
experience in
more,
the
but that
classroom?
doesn't mean you shouldn't work on it.
Okay. No,
Okay?
I'm just saying.
But yes, that's what you gain from experience. This is a starter kit here. Okay? As Ron Smith up in Concan says, Dave, please always remind your trainees that what they're getting is a learner's permit, not a PhD in rocket science. Okay? It's a learner's permit. So we're starting, but you're right, Kelly. You know better. That is one of the things, and I'd have to be honest with you, almost the only thing that I believe experience is helpful to a teacher in, is experienced teachers are not necessarily better teachers. I do believe that experienced teachers have a better idea of what's going to happen in a classroom. than inexperienced or relatively inexperienced
So
teachers.
when you're just starting out, the margin is like, well, plus or minus 5 minutes?
Again, we're not talking about timing. I'm thinking more about what they would do. I'll give you a rough idea of what your timing should be, because then you're going to kind of watch your timing yourself. For example, if your core dialogue takes you less than 5 minutes per 2 lines, then you're going too fast. You're definitely moving too fast. Okay? If your warmer took you less than 3 minutes, you'd be moving too fast. Okay? So you would go through it for objectives, you would go through it for this, then you go through it again for timing. Now in this case I say I'm going to suggest timing for you, but I want you to go through and think about what am I going to do, and what is it going to look like, and what is that, I don't know how to tell you, project it forward in your mind. One more time, you go through each stage. What problems are you likely to encounter at each stage? You think about what's going to happen and what problems are likely, and these things here should be from the teacher's perspective, not the student's problems, from the teacher's perspective. Go ahead, questions?